Well, hello there, dearest friends and family, and happy new year to you and yours. My mom and I made some chips and groundnuts the other day, just like we used to do whilst I was growing up, and it is something that I have yearned for so long, to get my mom to be in my home and do stuff with me. Well, I've had the opportunity to do this with her for one whole year. She's bonded with my children, being of immense help to me, and I cannot be thankful enough. So Mama has made some brine, that is salt solution, and she has put the peanuts in it. In my video that I shared with you previously, I did boil my peanuts. She says she has never boiled it. Well, I don't remember that. I just went off with my memory. I think I remembered water and salt, and I thought we boiled it. But it is just a solution, and you let the peanuts sit in for a few minutes. Mama explained that the salt will reach it just the way it reaches plantain and other stuff that we cut, like yam. We cut and let it sit in the salt water a little bit before we fry. And she was really right. The peanut at this point is very well salted. So we've just strained the water. It is going to air dry whilst I get my ingredients ready to make my chips. I'm going to measure 1,400 grams of all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to be adding some salt, some sugar, and Mama suggested I make the sugar just a little bit more than what I typically use, and it made a big difference. So I added an extra tablespoon of sugar, so it was a total of 3 tablespoons of sugar in here. I've added some nutmeg and my butter, and now I'm adding some blended onion. So onion paste in here. You want that chips to be fragrant. It's going to be fragrant with the onion and the nutmeg, and has a little bit of sweetness from that sugar. I'm using my KitchenAid. It makes things a lot easier. I'm making lots and lots of the chips, so using the mixer was very helpful for me to do that. So once the mixer incorporated all the ingredients, I poured it into a bowl so that I could add water. It's much easier for me that way, and that way I don't also have my hand in my pastry for too long, and I don't let the warmth of my hands just disturb the texture that I want. So now I'm just adding my water in here. It is cold water, and I'm just going to add just enough so that my paste is not too sticky and it's not too dry either. And I'm also going to have everything in their right quantities for you in the description box. It is most ideal for you to add the water in bits, even though you have a measurement, because temperatures and altitude affects pastries and lots of stuff with flour. So I might say a cup or half a cup, but then it might end up being a little bit less or a little bit more for you. So you want to be adding your water in bits until you get your desired texture. So now that I feel like I have my perfect texture, I'm shaping my pastry dough into balls. That way it's going to be easy for me to work with it. And at this point, my mom is prepping the second batch of the pastry for me. I am making a big batch. Typically that's what I do. I just make a bunch of pastries for my friends and family for the holidays, and it is something that I've come to love. I think if it's going to be a tradition that my children will remember, that we used to do this and send to friends, just like I did with my mom. So if you did watch my most recent video, that is the video before this, it is where they baked a cake, a chocolate cake, which of course they ran up pretty much ate all of it by herself. This is the day I wanted to make these. I wanted them to help me make this. She's not interested in chips, so she did make her cake. Well, anyway, in order for my rolling board to stay put and not be moving around, I've wet a kitchen towel and spread it over my countertop, place my board on it now, and that way my board is not going to move anywhere. It's going to be stable for me to do my stuff. I've also floured the surface of my board, and now I'm rolling out my dough, and I'm going to be actually using my chip cutter or the pasta maker noodle cutter. And every year it's like I use that device pretty much once a year, and because I make a lot of chips, it is so handy to have. It is like a white elephant the rest of the year, but when I bring it out, I do a lot of work with it. So I'm going to just cut out my dough like this and just put everything on my tray until everything is cut up, and then we are going to use the machine to do the rest of the work. Growing up, of course, my mom would have cut them just like I am doing now and put it on the tray. She'll put it on a tray and we sit on the kitchen stool with the tray on our lap with our scissors and do the work. But until my children are grown enough to be of that help, maybe I'll just let them use the pasta maker anyway. But it is still fond memories, and that is what we are talking about as we do this. So I'm done rolling out and cutting up my pastry crust or my dough. At this point, I'm ready to stretch it out. So I'm going to be using my pasta maker to just stretch out the dough. You saw the length it had and how it has stretched out. So instead of me using the rolling pin to do all that, I just use this little appliance, and it's faster for me considering how much I'm making. So I'm going to first off stretch out everything, and then when I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I'm looking at all the chips that I have to make, and I'm like, no, I can't wait until everything is cut up before I start frying. So I'm going to warm up my oil and start cutting up some of the ones that I have stretched, so I can be frying and stretching and frying, so I don't waste too much time waiting until everything is done and spend all that time frying. That will end up being in the wee hours of the night, so no. So oil is heating up, and I'm going to start cutting up my chips. That is my favorite part about using this device anyway. Just how long you can have it. It's almost like making noodles. And there, that's my first one. Always gorgeous. I'm going to set that aside and cut some more. Depending on how rich you make your chips, you can make your strips as long as you want. Mine is super rich, so even if I make my strips extra long, they're going to break in the oil anyway. But if you made yours a little bit crunchier, so with a little bit less butter or more flour, whichever way, whichever one you want to tweak, then of course you can make it as long as you want. It's going to break, but it won't break as much as this rich one will break. My oil is hot at this moment, but I want to make sure it is perfectly hot. So I've put a little piece of my chip in here. I'm going to let that fry. And anyway, you could also just tear your strips into something like that and fry. That is a good way of frying your chips. But my oil is hot, and so I'm just introducing my noodles or chips in here. You don't want to overcrowd your oil. This is a pastry after all, and once the oil hits it, it swells up. I should say it puffs up a little bit. As you can see, it is swelling. Also, the oil rises up because of all the ingredients in here. So you want to make sure that you have just enough chips or noodles in here. One, because you want it to fry beautifully. You don't want some of them to rise above the oil and make it hard for it to fry. And of course, if you have noodles like mine, remember they are noodles, so they are intertwined. Trying to stir them is difficult. You don't want to break them unnecessarily because that defeats the purpose of using that machine. You want it to be long strips. I have been gently stirring my chips. At this point, it is golden. It is perfect, ready to come out of the oil. It smells amazing. The fragrance of the onions and nutmeg mixed with everything here. My son came to me and said, "Mommy, are you making that scene you made last Christmas?" That scene, okay? And I'm so surprised because he was only 3 years last year, and his memory, oh my God, it's just, I don't know. I think he has my kind of memory. Like, I remember a lot of things, and he does. He loved it last year, and I wonder why I forgot he did love it. I should have made some for him at least once or twice within the year. But he came with his bowl, and he wanted to have chips, and he's been eating chips like since then. So, well, I am happy he's enjoying it. That makes me so happy. So anyway, the chips are out of the oil now. I like to clear my oil from these little pieces that break off in here. If you don't get rid of it and you fry other batches, they're gonna get burnt and just mix up with your noodles, and it's not going to look interesting. My mom has suggested to me that I buy a frying basket like the chip sellers normally have. You set it in the oil, you just shake it every now and then, and once it is done, you just lift it. And she says it's also going to keep all the little pieces in it, so it's going to be less work. So this has cooled off. I'm transferring it into a bowl so I get my strainer ready for the next batch. And so yes, Mama, tell Kai basket maybe, because she was like, of all the things you have in your kitchen, I'm surprised you don't have that. You throw me shade, Hinty. I need to find one. And so this is also done at this point without disturbing it too much. Just look at how perfect it is. Soft, it is crispy, it is fragrant, and that little bit of extra sugar she made me put in there makes a whole lot of difference. You taste the sweetness, but it's not sugary sweet. It's not like chin chin, and it's not just bland with just salt. You taste something different that makes you wonder what else is in there, and I love it. I love this. And this chips, when it went out, everybody was raving about it. I've made a lot of new friends this past year, so people who had never received chips from me did receive it. The old people, they're used to it, and the new people just kept raving about it, and well, that makes me happy. I'm sorry this came too late for you to make it for the holidays. You can make it all year long, of course. Or please remember this video next Christmas or next holidays when you need to make all these goodies. It will be right here for you. Next batch is going here as well, cooled off, and I'm going to repeat this until everything is fried. Mama is satisfied with how much moisture has left her peanuts now, so she's getting ready to do the coating so she can fry it. She has 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour in the bowl. To that, she's going to be adding 3 large eggs. Now she's going to add just a little bit of evaporated milk. That is not included in my previous recipe, so if you've tried it and you loved it, you can just tweak it with just a little bit of milk in here. That is about 3 tablespoons of evaporated milk that she put in there. She's added some salt and some sugar as well. Now she's going to mix everything until it is well combined. And after a lot of convincing that the sugar was not enough, she finally decided to add a little bit more sugar. Yes, it wasn't going to be enough. I was telling her I put more than that, and I always use 1 bag of peanuts. So she finally did give in. And when it was done, it wasn't too sweet either. It was perfectly sweet. So she's added some water in here, and now we are going to get a little bit of a creamy consistency. And now, like a thick cream. So now we are going to add our peanuts in here. Just like that, you want the peanuts to be very well coated. And then it is going to be ready to be fried. Yeah, what a mess. But everything is going there. And got to crying so check. So, no peanuts left behind. That is what we should call this. No peanuts left behind. All of you, go back, go inside. And go inside is an inside joke in my family. So yeah, go inside. The oil is perfectly hot at this point, and so now we are going to start frying the peanuts. Yeah, it is going to start smelling like bronya is going to be smelling here in this house right now. Chips not set in gumuba. Hey, so anyway, at this point, you really get that mother-daughter vibe. I like videos like this where we are standing side by side doing stuff. I made a little video for Instagram, and anyway, if you're not following me on Instagram, please do follow me, because I make some reels that sometimes I just never post here on Facebook. I make a few recipes that never get here on YouTube either. So if you can, please follow me everywhere, please. Let's make 2023 a better year for Quantress Kitchen. Okay, KK fam, please help me out. So anyway, she is frying her peanuts. Peanuts take a whole lot longer. We realized that it took the time I used to fry 2 batches of chips before the peanut was ready. You want to give it all the time to fry until it's golden and it's perfect before it comes out of the oil. Patience is virtue when it comes to this. Once your peanuts begins to look this golden, you know it is ready. One thing I have to tell you, if you were to pick one of these peanuts from right now and taste it, you might think it's chewy and you would say it's not done. But once it cools off, it is going to be perfect. So you have to be mindful of that. You're not going to be really sure of the crunchiness until it is completely cooled off. So your best bet is just to take one or two pieces. If you're not too sure, let it cool off, taste it, and if it's perfect, just bring everything out, and that'll be it. Now we are going to fry our second batch of peanuts, and remember that once it goes in the oil, you want to stir right away, otherwise it cakes up and you're going to have something like peanut brittle, like in cat cake. You want your peanuts to come out loose, looking like this. And well, the second batch is fried also. We had a third batch to fry, and after that mama's work was done, but I decided to stay up a little longer even though I was exhausted to make my orange cranberry rum cake. And yeah, I made 12 or was it 14 of those. Having two mixing bowls for my KitchenAid is like the best thing. So I was making one batter, and whilst it was mixing up, I was getting the ingredients ready for the next one. So even when it was baking, I still had the second batch waiting to go in the oven. So as soon as I mixed up one batter, I already had another batter going, and like repeatedly so until I was done baking using both mixing bowls, and that really was time saving for me. These cakes are loved by my friends and they look forward to it for the holidays. So I got these mini cake pans. Instead of using my bigger pans and rest, these are perfect because then I get to make a cake for everybody, and I also get to add a few goodies to it as well. Just perfect. Just look at how gorgeous. The recipe for this cake is here from about 2 years ago. Orange cranberry rum cake. I'm going to link it for you. Please try it, especially if you can get some oranges. This year, however, I didn't use candied orange peels. I used candied orange slices because that is all I could find, and I did find them in Trader Joe's. So hopefully you can find those and make this cake with it. So perfect. And now everything is done. It's been a super long day. It is about midnight at this point, but hey, my work is done and I'm super excited to come back the next day and package them. And these is the packages I made. I have these boxes that I got from Amazon a while back. I had forgotten. I just did make them not knowing how I was going to package them, but look at how beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this video. Kindly give me a thumbs up and share. And until I come your way next time with something delicious, be loving, be kind, be happy, and appreciate. May this year be a blessed one for us all.